I need to put mine as well. I need to put mine as well. I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already I need to put mine as well. The rest are already Thank you very much. Settle down a bit. Thank you very much for taking your time to join, I believe, a very important and interesting discussion that we would have this afternoon. And as you might be aware, interesting discussion. The title of this discussion is Designing Inclusive Finance for a Just Transition. And we have been able to have in our place a very important panel that I'm sure is going to share important insights around the topic of discussion. But just as a way of context, countries across the global south face a dual challenge of cutting emissions while creating jobs and reducing inequality. Achieving this balance requires financing mechanisms that are fair, inclusive, and fit for purpose. This session will explore the ongoing design of South Africa's Just Transition Financing Mechanism, a catalytic platform being developed to de-risk and crowd in finance for community-owned, labor-owned, SME-driven projects across both adaptation and mitigation sectors. The discussion will focus on the conceptual models for pipeline, signaling, project development, and financing options, including the role of distributive justice in project ownership and associated risk sharing. So I believe you're going to find this quite insightful. But as a start, I'm just going to ask, can you hear me? Okay. Going to be yourself soon. I'm going to start by asking Dr. Oliver to come to the front and Dr. Ntleko to come to the front as well. And the roles for the two of them are as follows. We are going to start
generation.
But Dr. Oliver, who's going to give us some opening
we're an
remarks.
infrastructure bank.
After that, we'll have
when we
Dr. Ntleko to do a keynote address for
5 years
us.
in the middle of COVID,
So I'm going to go right into it. Thank you very much.
done nothing prior to COVID in health.
Good afternoon,
Suddenly,
everyone.
almost
I
everything
hope
related
you
to
are
health.
staying
So we were
cool.
trying to think about
it's
how
a
can
little
we
bit like
shape
doing Bikram yoga. I
an
don't know if
approach
you've
to
ever been in a Bikram
for
yoga studio.
infrastructure.
You know, your body
Often
just
for generation
drains
or
of
for
all
decades,
of the liquid
sometimes
you need to
for
keep
generations.
hydrated. I'm a
So we
medical
better get
doctor, So
And-
drink
and
a lot of
that's very
water.
much our starting
Otherwise,
point
you're
for
not going to make
thinking
it
both
to the end
what
of
can we
next
do
week.
with the health sector specifically.
So
but
look,
what can we
today's
do
discussion is
maybe,
very
or
important,
I
and
think we say
I
more
want to just
importantly,
tell
what can we
you
do
why
so what
the
to
just
invest
transition
in energy
is
and
fundamental
sport,
to the
water,
climate
even in
transition.
digital infrastructure are
As
very
we
important.
know, I mean, this transition involves huge changes to our economy as we, decarbonize and build our adaptation and resilience. There are some economic sectors that are going to grow dramatically. We have investments in renewable energy, battery technology, grid upgrading, clean
What to think about.
fuels, industrial
Do it, export investment, what-
decarbonization, water
And you do
infrastructure, agricultural infrastructure. So there's a string of sectors that are going to grow and do well and create jobs. And there are a whole lot of high emission sectors which are not going to do well. And we will be progressively and steadily exiting those sectors as we get down to net zero by the middle of the century. So
Thank you. And if we're doing
it's an
youth-related
economic revolution. It's of the order
this,
of the
can't
great
not too old enough-
industrial revolutions of our time,
And sadly, I
the
am. But aside from
information
being
age, the
the
AI
youth, I work for the Global
revolution,
Climate and
the
Health Alliance.
climate revolution is of that order of magnitude, and it's as disruptive.
Answer the question about
And it is
Obviously,
going to
when
pose
She was
particular
from the
risks
club,
to poorer and more vulnerable communities and people that are employed in these value chains that are exposed to
Before the Paris Agreement.
decarbonization.
Uh,
So if we are not careful and proactive in the approach that we follow, we are going to wind back many of the development gains that we've been making as developing countries. And in
This
South
isn't any
Africa, we've
place
already got a sky-high unemployment rate. I mean, for us to talk about even losing 100 jobs is too much. So every action that
grounded
we
in
take,
evidence we've heard
we've
from
got to be mindful of
they need
the impact
arguments
that we
with other
create.
negotiators that they need to be able to
And
show
for us, the transition has to involve an equitable sharing of benefits and risks. And at the moment, the risks are all on the side of vulnerable and poor communities who are seeing their livelihoods erode in front of their eyes. And it's not going to be politically sustainable for us to continue along that path. So, you know, we're as a country, we're committed to decarbonization. We're committed to an ambitious emissions trajectory, but it has to be equitable and fair. And we've taken this work on the just transition as our
energy
sort of
access, what provisions are
central
going to be put in place if they're not
organizing
depending on fossil
policy
fuels to make
principle.
In
And
a year,
that
we should be
means
having
that
really
as a
And then
government,
finally,
as a society,
and thinking
and
about the situation
as
and the policy
business,
process and how health can
we
be
need
brought
to be thinking,
in a way that's
what's the industrial policy to grow these new economic sectors? What's the labor market policy,
out rather than
particularly
being an
how do
addition.
we start to build the workers of tomorrow for all these new jobs that are going to arise? Because we don't want to see those jobs going to other parts of the world.
Leading
This transition has to be jobs positive for
which is our
us
public health
in
system
our
in
country. And
work
what are the
with this
kinds
question.
medicine
of
specialist
social
skills. So
security
the reason I
nets
wanted to mention that
we've
is
got
because
to put
it's
in
very
place
relevant
We're
to
making
experience
cushion
people kind of at that level across the health system.
So, you know,
Also
this
with my
area of the
colleagues,
just transition
Many of whom
is
see the links between
fundamentally
climate
important.
change and health and do it's
And
relevant.
when we're
absolutely.
talking about
And it's very
finance,
interesting, and I
you know,
think
a lot
that
of this COP is about
space a lot
how
of
do we
climate
mobilize,
literacy. It just
you know,
enough, not
moving from
perfect,
billions
but
to
good
trillions.
enough.
believing
How do we get to the
this is irrelevant. They
NCP
just
targets?
don't understand it matters.
How do we build
I think
country
for
platforms
those of
that
us who work in
layer
this space,
these
it can be
different
kind of difficult to
components
take a
of
step back and
finance,
go,
grants,
because
concessional,
for us it's so
commercial
obvious.
debt,
We go, well, yeah,
private equity,
different ways that climate affects health.
but
how can
not
people
just for
get that?
climate
Take
adaptation
that
and
back and
climate
go, okay,
mitigation,
I need to draw those
but how do we channel money
really important
into the just
powerful
transition
as well. And I
itself?
find that
And, you know, it's
I have in
traditionally been
health
seen as
went into
an
health because they
unbankable
care about the
sector.
health of people, right? That's
There are a lot of
motivation
small-scale
in health.
community
If they
projects,
care about health and care about
SMME
people's
investments,
you
areas
say
like skills and social
how he
support. They're not,
people
you know, that easy to think about
individual
making bankable
things
projects.
your
And
family
what we're doing with this mechanism, we're
Everybody
showing
around
that
you.
you can take
Penny
blended
usually
finance
for most
and
people, and they
apply
don't
it
appreciate that this
practically, you
is
know,
health and
in
that
the context
anyone
of a
else really
country
needs to
like
care
South
about.
Africa to deliver benefits to people and
think that we've
communities
just
on the ground.
recently
So I will
uh,
leave it
we're
at that
trying to
point.
sit in this space.
That's
Oh,
just sort of floating
Those
above
that
the
they're
issue. I'm
competing
looking
and
to
trying to
you
say,
guys to
Action
tell
is
us
a
how you're going to
"Coach, and I'm
actually
bigger
do
than
it.
you."
Thank you very much,
you
Dr. Olves.
This
now
project doing
like
Um,
that.
is set
I actually
recommended
realized that I
policies
did not
that we can all
introduce you
contribute to,
properly. I just
rather
assumed
than
that
being
you would
compared.
do, but
All
Dr.
of the
Olves is
approach
deputy
that
chair of
interacts with health,
you know,
health
the
is
PCC.
supply. Yeah, you're
Thank you
not
very
going to get
much.
people
I
as
think you have
Well, thank you
injected
very much.
agency into the
One more
topic of discussion and set proper context to what we are going to be discussing.
I think,
Appreciate that.
Samson, you put
I'm going
forward
to
a
give
very
over to
good
Dr.
question.
Ferro for the
And,
Q&A.
you know, if I think about climate and health, it gets very personal
Thank you
with
so
me.
much.
So
Let's
I
first,
am
do
actually the
this,
one
evidence thing.
that was influenced
Now that
by
you've
a
seen
number of
that I
people
respect the
to
meeting,
look
I
at
can
this
take my jacket off.
critical issue. So
started
the
yesterday on
institute
this.
that I work with is called the
We are
Climate Change
building-
and
we are-
Sustainable Development Institute. It was
You know,
built in
and that's the good
2017. So after that,
The- this
most, I would say the majority of our
Okay,
work
so,
is to look at
thank you so
renewables,
much,
right?
colleagues,
How
and thank you for
we
the
do the energy
invitation, really,
transition. We look at the
to
power
this COP30.
sector,
I,
transportation,
I'm pleased to
iron
be
and
here,
steel.
and
So everything is about mitigation.
I haven't
So
been to
I
COP for the
remember
past,
very clearly that
2-3
we
years.
spent 2 years
And
to
I'm
come up
returning
with
here
a very
and,
comprehensive
oh boy,
report
is it hot in
about
here?
how we can decarbonize China's economy
I'm
and industry.
Unfortunately,
For example, by
I cannot,
2035 and
dodge,
2050.
if I can use
So
that
we
word
advised
anymore,
the Chinese government,
because
I mean
my
the
new
policymakers,
responsibility is to coordinate
you know,
the
actually 2
sustainability
years
for the
ahead of
DBS. So,
the pledge
so
for
I
China
have,
to
I have
put
to do
forward
that.
its carbon peaking
Look,
and carbon
I think
neutrality
it's an honor
pledge.
for
So,
me to be part of this
I
conversation here,
this very
as we seek to
small
find ways to
meeting that
ensure
I
that
joined with
the
the dean of
transition
my
that we are
institute,
talking about is
Minister
not
Xie Zhenhua,
only
who used to
green,
be the
but it's
special
also
envoy
just.
for China on climate,
I
and
think,
also Margaret Chan, who built a new
I'm
school at
pronouncing
Tsinghua
this
University,
because
the
I'm
public
from
health
South
school.
Africa in
So
the African continent.
I don't think they
and
have met after
for
Paris
us,
Agreement. They
the
worked
transition is
together
not just
at
about
Paris
the
Agreement,
science.
so that's already 5 years ago.
First and
They
foremost
said,
about
you
the
know,
development
at that
of the
time,
people.
we
So,
had a very,
throughout the global south,
you know, several rounds of
we
discussion that we
face
have to
challenges,
include health,
you know,
the right for
on
health
how to
to
make
the
sure
Paris
that
Agreement. So
we finance
I think that's
transitions
where we,
that,
my
support
institute
people
started to look at,
to
it's
continue
time
their
that
livelihoods,
we put
but
health,
also
not on the
to strengthen their
Paris
local
Agreement
economy. So for us, it's a
paper work,
continuous
but
reality.
also
It's
to
it's
move
not
the
not
agenda
theoretical.
from the margins
So
to the center of
we are
the climate
seeing
agenda.
communities,
Then I met
for
with
example,
Professor Wen Jiacai
that
and
are
Chen Huang from
have been
Tsinghua
thriving for the
colleagues. So
past
we started to influence
the
each
longest
other.
of time.
And I think it was in
now struggling
COP28,
to maintain their livelihoods because, for
this
example, the
launch
coal
of the
assets that
research
they
project
dependent
that we
on
work together
either winding
that
down
is to
or
decarbonize
being
China's healthcare system,
repurposed.
including
And
hospital
we are
facilities,
witnessing
medical
increasing
equipment,
rates of
and also
climate
hopefully
events,
supply
so
chain
it's
in the long run.
floods or
And I
fires
remember
and on.
Shang Chen was the
So
intern in
these
my
are
institute. So
realities that we face, you know. So
someone that
this
I
is
think
this is not theory
yes, you too.
for
Yeah,
us.
okay. So
We therefore
as the
need to respond to these challenges
fundamental,
and respond very, very quick.
engineering
If
student,
I can
right?
say so.
Like
So the question is,
later when we met,
how do we
he said,
mobilize capital for
Zhang Lao
transformation
Shi, I
without
working on
necessarily
climate and health. So
deepening
I
inequalities
think
in the spaces that we
in
focus
the
on?
environment,
In other words, how do we ensure that
Sure.
climate finance does
and,
not just flow to
and for the
these
good of
so-called
humanity.
large
So I'm very
projects,
proud of that.
you know, without reaching local enterprises or local community? And for us at the DBSA, this is where the
we
just
wrap
transition
up here, I'm
financing
afraid.
mechanism
We
comes
don't
in.
have time for the
the
final quick round,
so-called
but I'll just say thank you. And just
JTFM.
remind everyone that this is the beginning
You know,
of a journey, not a long one.
21st
We hope.
century
Narrative
economics
heard, and one where we all come
requires
together.
us
Thanks
to
for
rethink
taking part today
the
and
whole
stay tuned
concept
for what's
of
next.
economics. It requires us to realize that there is a floor below which you don't want people to be dragged in terms of social dignity, but
in
there is also an upper
23,
ceiling above which you don't want
Asian Center
any further ecological degradation to happen. And so how do the sweet spot in between? And for us, this is exactly what we're trying to do with the JTFM. The platform itself is a partnership between the Presidential Climate Commission and the Development Bank of Southern Africa. It's conceived as a finance platform that crowds in capital for projects that deliver environment, social, and economic value, especially to communities, workers, and small entities. So what this seeks to do is to direct and control who actually participates in these projects, but also who benefits from the transition. That's the aim. So the platform helps us to match the pool of funds on the one hand with the transition projects on the other, to try and allocate funds to the right people. So by standardizing things like due diligence, aggregating smaller projects, and blending concessional and commercial finance, we actually aim to make sure that community projects are bankable, but bankable at scale through the aggregation. So this JTFM is actually designed to be both a financial innovation process, but also as a social compact process that we use. So our collaboration with the PCC, Presidential Climate Coordinator, is underpinned by the shared understanding that finance, if you think about finance as a broad concept, it shouldn't only serve projects. It should actually serve people more than it serves projects. I think that's the shared belief. That's the shared understanding. So the partnership itself is then seen as a bridge between policy aspirations on the one hand, but also as financial execution on the other. So we're trying to bring these two legs together. The PCC, for example, brings the policy leadership. It brings in the social dialogue that we require to touch those relevant stakeholders and deal with the issues at local levels. And the DBSA brings the structured project and structuring expertise that we require, the capital mobilization capacity, and the ability to actually translate
comment
this
on 2
ambition
points. One is about we
into
can always count
investable
on
project. So
Nancy
you
countdown,
end up
right?
with a
For some
three-pillar
solutions,
focus
which
when
is
you do
always
that.
on time. So
The
I
one
still,
is
this fan is
knowledge building,
is just great, and
to make sure that
it also
all
raises
actors
awareness,
actually
right?
understand the transition can actually shape
probably
the
to
livelihoods in local levels.
increase the mindset
You
and
also have
awareness of
trust
the
building,
public. I mean, that would be even better.
where you
But
align
I
interests
remember I
between
received a gift many years
workers,
ago from
communities,
Professor
small
Tan.
entities at local
It's
level.
candlelight.
And the
it's
third one
held
is
in
pipeline building, where you make sure that
us.
you
like
prepare
a very
credible, bankable, and scalable
As you burn,
projects
the inner
that actually
circle
can deliver both
will show the
financial and social
temperature,
returns.
rise from
But
pre-industrial
to
level to today. So it's getting
truly
hot,
scale
red
this,
and red.
in our
So
view,
it's deep red.
you need
So I
international
think
partnerships.
doing this kind
Yes,
of
it's fine at the national level
work
you can do this, but you need
is very
international
helpful
partnerships.
to
So
raise
if you think
awareness
about
from the
programs
public.
like
So
the International Climate
my
Initiative,
institute is also chair of this
it can
university
play a pivotal
alliance. We
role
call
in
the universities, the
strengthening and
alliance of
enabling
universities
the
on climate.
the
So it's
mechanism itself,
university across the
and
globe.
making
And
sure that
I think starting from
you build
2020 or
institutional
2021,
capacity,
we
develop
brought
innovative
climate and
financing
health
instruments,
into the core
you
curriculum
actually deepen
of
collaboration
this university
among
alliance. You know, because every
development
year
banks.
we
And we think that such
campaign, there's a
partnerships
training program.
are
It's
actually
not only for the
important to
15
provide
universities, but also
not
for
only technical and financial support, but also
outside
to
the university
foster
alliance. And it's the
this
first time we put a
global
climate health
solidarity that you need
course into
to push
the training
the just
program. And I
transition.
think last year
There's
alone,
also broader
the course
relevance
reached
for a
is getting
mechanism like
popular, and it reached to about
JTFM. There's actually lessons that one can take
university cover about
from a
5,000
national
students.
level
So
and
I
apply
think
it at
accumulating the
let's say the
efforts
global
at
south
Tsinghua and the
level.
University Alliance, we have been able
it's a
to
homegrown
do some
platform,
work
agreed,
that
but
increase
you can
the
use this to
degree
mobilize
of climate health
blended capital
literacy among
to
young
actually
students.
leverage public finance to
But
facilitate
it's not
risk
enough,
sharing.
right? So I
And
don't
I'm deliberately saying risk sharing. I know,
tell people in this
you-
room, this audience,
you would
about
expected
the
me to say
the
de-risking.
crisis or the
I
damage
have a
the climate
fundamental
change
problem with
is
using
making
that
to our health. But
that word.
the
I
public
think
health
there's
needs to know more, right?
we
So
don't use it correctly.
that's why I'm
if you think
working with
about,
Professor
a balloon
Chen
full of
and
water,
also with the Global Center on
and the water
Adaptation
is the risk.
to
If you
build
squeeze
more
the balloon on the one side,
diversified
the water shifts to the other
capacity
side.
building programs.
The
We
water
start from
doesn't
community
decrease.
levels, from
So
government officials,
we
and
are sharing this
infrastructure,
risk.
banking
We are
system,
shifting this
and
risk.
healthcare. So
And that's fine, but to say we are de-risking
sector
is something else,
stakeholder
because
collaborations
the
on
risk is
very
not
concrete
reducing. The risk
actions.
is still there.
Yes.
So let's call it like that. But this particular platform helps us to do that. The shifting of the risk and the making sure that we share the risk. So we hope that if we work with parties and formations like the IDFC, for example, or if we work like the EQ program, for example, the
Messenger and the
JTFM can form part of a global peer learning platform where we can all share experiences, co-create scalable frameworks, so that we make sure that the transition finance that we do is actually inclusive. Let me conclude by saying that for us, this is not just about designing finance that creates dignity. It's also about making sure that we create ownership. So in other words, you don't just create dependencies, you don't just create charity, but you create dignity and ownership of these processes. So as we share these models here at COP30, let us remember that the strength of the global transition, in my mind, will ultimately be measured by the fairness of its outcomes. If we
finding it easy to find out the information for yourself if you're
in
presented with
building
a menu.
mechanisms like the JTFM, that actually puts people at the center, I think we would have succeeded in building a dignified economy for all people that we deal with. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think that was very insightful. I think it has primed our panel to come and hit the ground running. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, both Dr. Nhleko and Dr. Olver. I'm going to, at this stage, invite our panel to come to the front. I'm going to take the liberty of using first names. I'll deal with the consequence afterwards. So from the PCC, I'm going to ask Dimsan to join us in the front, and from the DBSA, I'll ask Mohammed to join us. And then from the BMUK, I'm going to ask Philip to join us. And then from AFD, I'll ask Audrey to join us. And last but not least, I'm going to ask from Kasatu, Witumelo, to join us. Thank you very much. So I think you are in for a treat and a very insightful discussion. And I'm not going to stand in your way and get you to listen to me. We're going to go right to the panel. Dimsan, and I think you are sitting at the right place because you are the first one who is going to go for the first question. And the question is as follows. The proposed JTFM
Yeah, thank you.
approach
I
uses
spent a lot of
partnership
time talking
implementation model, the
who are
PIM,
incredibly
to
stressed.
identify
And
just transition
my
opportunities
Australia is similar to experiences
in
in
at-risk
healthcare. There are
provinces.
so many challenges
How is the
already
PCC
without adding
approaching
climate change
this
on top of it,
process
and already the
to
day-to-day
ensure the
work
pipeline development
well with a
truly
lot of
reflects the realities,
health professionals?
including priorities for
One of
workers,
the ways I think
youth,
is best to
communities,
frame
rather than being driven by a top-down
really good community
assumptions
for health. We
about what
already
is
know
bankable. So go for it, sir.
many
Thank
we
you
need
very
to
much,
solve there's many
Mr.
existing
Mantaka.
inequities.
Yeah,
Many people live with poor
and thank
social
you very much for
determinants
the
of health.
invitation.
Our health
On
systems are
behalf
not
of the
perfect to
PCC.
begin with. And when we frame
Look, I
climate
mean,
change as an
coming
opportunity
from
to
the
make
journey
the
as
system
far back
better,
as May 2022, the
things work
Presidential
better,
Climate Commission lands the
it
landmark
really helps us
policy
get across
development
people
around the just
already
transition framework,
incredibly stressed.
which was
I think
resoundingly
trying
accepted by
frame what we
society. In fact, it was all of society's
think
input
as well
that shaped up and made up what we now
that
have
is
as the three
well.
principles of
Often in the
justice,
conversations that I
which is the
have
procedural justice
across the
to
system is to
say
try and
nothing
where
for
they're
us
at.
without us. You know, you cannot make decisions, you
They
cannot
care
create financing mechanisms or
things they care about as
develop
well.
project pipelines
So
without necessarily
examples
involving
to
us in the process.
on
There
who
was
safety
a
and
principle
quality
of distributive justice
metrics
to
they
say,
need to meet around
let's
things
share
like
the risk, both the
related
risks
infections.
and the opportunities.
You can draw that line with climate change, and you can
as per the deputy chair's
them
input
that says
earlier. And
there
there's
is a link
also
between
restorative
antimicrobial
justice,
resistance
and there's a reason why I highlight these.
very relevant to your
Going
work.
into the PIM,
Look
you
at
know, we take a very explicit and intentional approach to achieve procedural justice.
hygiene and
We bring
decrease hospital
communities
infections.
together. We bring the local
Going,
government in that
impact of
particular
climate on health.
jurisdiction.
We need
We bring the business chambers together, and we say,
when
here is
to
our
do.
realities as
But
far as the transition is concerned. And these realities bring these specific risks. And the
economic
case in point
well.
being the leading edge really of
At
our
what-
transition in South Africa is Mpumalanga. We've gone to
Planning
Mpumalanga
and
and
some-
to the municipalities
like
in
that as
Mpumalanga,
well.
and we've said the mines, the coal mines
We
will
have to
close down,
answer
the
to
coal will finish,
about how much things
the
cost.
power stations will close
Also
down
really
as well.
powerful as well. So I
Meaning
think
there will
all
be
of that into
devastation
it
on
and
jobs,
tailoring the
and we've
message.
seen that already in
I
one
think in
of
terms of
our,
what we need to do,
you know, former
as I said,
Tory,
it's
local economies, Komati Power Station.
yeah,
And
harder.
we've said, what are the
better. I think some of
projects
the things that
that
are quite
communities
exciting is the use
can
of technology now
themselves
in a very
take up?
rational way because
So
we
to
know all
emphasize
about the
the
energy,
point about ownership and restoring dignity
machine learning and things like that use,
Dr.
but being
Ntlego's
very
input.
rational about it because we
What
can
are the
use that kind of
projects that
technology
communities can engage in and participate in
hospital
effectively,
system when there's a
to
heat
basically
wave.
achieve the,
We
you
increase
know,
hospital
achieve economic
presentations and stress on the
prosperity
system
and continue their
to that and then
livelihoods,
prepare for it, then it
in a
really
way
helps us
that
deal with it as
is
well.
responsive
Looking
also
at
to
how
the
we
just
do things
transition.
differently,
So amongst
sure,
others,
procurement
you know,
systems,
we engage
supply
in
chains,
processes of
forward
economic
thinking goes
complexity
a very
to understand really some of the emerging value chains in these communities that considers both workers and communities, giving them both the stake, but also at the same time helping them, you know, understand some of the risks that are involved with the transition. Part of what we are, you know, engaging in those models, amongst others, you know, is developing new value chains. We are seeing new value chains emerge as part of the partnership implementation model. Here I'm talking about, you know, the commercialization, or at least the identification, commercialization, and scaling up of the hemp industry, with lots of benefits for communities in Mpumalanga. Amongst others, just to look from a restorative justice point of view, hemp offers an opportunity for the community in Mpumalanga to rehabilitate their soils, and therefore enabling agricultural opportunities into the future. Hemp offers an opportunity for communities in Mpumalanga to really develop some of the byproducts that come from the hemp value chain, which also offers
you
immediate, economic opportunities in the area. So those are some of the, I would say, headline projects that come out of a program that we're calling the Partnership Implementation Model, which really brings players into the table, engages on some of the risks
we can invest
and the
How are you?
transition
We can
opportunities
start the
that
session now.
confront the community,
Thank you so much.
but also helps
how's
helps communities,
feeling good?
workers, businesses, and the local
think
government
today is
authorities to
Friday.
really identify themselves in
No,
terms
what
of roles and responsibilities in the transition,
I
and
thought
therefore
they were
act
saying
accordingly.
thing to me.
Thank you very much.
So have you been able to follow the discussions or
Thank
just
you very
from
much,
side events?
Vincent.
Anyone following a bit?
I'm going to come back
Pop.
and probe a little bit further, but for now, let me
Very
give,
good.
Mohammed
Okay,
a chance.
so
in our first
standard-
welcome
Ask the
to this
following
side
question.
event at the Standards Pavilion
What
on
approach
digital
alone
enablers
what
for climate
is the
action,
DPSA
how ICT
considering
is
to
powering
ensure
climate
the
solutions across sectors.
JTFM
This
design
event is part of the Green Digital Action
designs bespoke, context-responsive instrument
support.
that directly addresses
Me-
the differentiated
And
finance
these members also are
faced by
on IEC
especially
and
vulnerable
other
groups.
Well, thank you so much. So
initiative.
I think the starting
was about how the city sector environmental impact of AI,
Resilient.
and
circular
each group
economy,
has
about the
have
importance of
distinct
data
barriers in
center
terms of financial
and
constraints,
cooling
and the
solutions.
financial needs
And
that
today,
need to be
we also
responsive to
discussed about
those beneficiary groups will have to be tailored to those specific needs. So I think our approach is
That's how
just
it's in China.
that right now there is no information in the NDCs on how digital can help to reduce their emission. So today we are going to go deeper on, and we are also going to have digital
very happy that with the international
and translated in a
X for me.